So let us start with the prayers. Hare Krishna to everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः तदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं प्रजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपरिष्ठाय भूतले पादाय कृष्णपरिष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वंशकल वैष्णव कम करती वाचालम पंगम लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्येश्वरम यो तत्सत् Hare Krishna. So, first of all, thank you all, those who have made it possible to join this session today. An adjustment of yesterday's session, which is today because of the celebration of Snana Yatra. So, yesterday was the Snana Yatra celebration. Of course, originally celebrated in Puri, Jagannath Puri Dham, where it is technically considered the birthday of Lord Jagannath. So traditionally on this day, the deities are given a bathing, profuse bathing, where practically all devotees, so it's a day where all devotees can come and bathe the Lord. Because I think of late in Puri, I do not know whether it is open to all devotees. I think it was at one time, probably not now because of management reasons. But this is the day where everyone can have the good fortune of bathing the Lord. So this is a once a year festival, very special. And now after the bathing festival, Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra Maya have caught a cold and some transcendental sickness, because of which they are seclusion, the Anavasara period, where they are being served by their confidential servitors, being nursed back to good health, being painted back after the bathing, being prepared, being given nice medicines and very healthy diet food, so that they are nursed back to good health, so that they are ready to give their darshan. First on the Netrotsav day, which is one day before the Rath Yatra, and then on Rath Yatra. So this means Rath Yatra is coming very soon. So of course, across the world, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, so many deities of Lord Jagannath have been established. So the festival of Rath Yatra has reached all over the world. So Jagannath is there in Trafalgar Square, where the Rath passes in London. He's there in New York. He's there in Sydney. He's there in you practically name it, and he's there. Of course, what to speak of all the cities in Mumbai, sorry, in India, in Mumbai, Delhi, all the major metros, and even so many small towns as well. So, very auspicious festival. So, we were engaged in participating in the celebrations. So, we are continuing our discussion on the Srimad Bhagavat today. We are continuing the discussion of the holy pastimes of Vritrasur Chitraketu. Vritrasur's pastime, where we are now currently discussing the previous life of Vritrasur, where he was the king Chitraketu. So it's a very, very interesting story. It's a very, very interesting lesson. So let us continue the discussion. So we are on chapter 16. This particular chapter is entitled King Chitraketu Meets the Supreme Lord. So what we have been discussing so far, just a quick recap. Uh, that Maharaj Chitraketu, he had everything in this world, didn't have children. He had millions of wives, no child. He was very, very sad, even though otherwise he was a very wonderful devotee. He was, very dutiful king. But his heart was so much in despair at the lack of having a progeny that he was thinking that nothing else will give me happiness. And this is the nature of the mind. This is the nature of material existence. Yeah. We may have everything, but one thing can spoil it all. And that is the nature of material. Everything will be there, and suddenly one thing. Padam padam yad vipadam. The world is described as padam padam yad vipadam. There at every step. There are a zillion things in life which can go wrong. And you may have a billion good things, but that one in a zillion thing which can go wrong, if it goes wrong, there are billions of such things which can make our life absolutely miserable, especially if we are attached, especially if we are hovering on the platform of material consciousness. So Maharaj Chitraketu, even though he was otherwise wonderful, full of so many wonderful good qualities, because of his material attachment, because of his graha, sutta, apta vitta, janeshu mohoyam aham mamit, embedded his consciousness still being deeply rooted in the material conception of life, he was extremely disturbed. When we discussed how he was blessed by Angira Muni, that he will have a son, Harsha Shoka, who will give him happiness and distress. Son was born, immense happiness all over. But in due course, all the other queens, except for Kritadyuti, who was the mother of that son, the eldest queen, everybody else, all the other queens became envious. Eventually, they poisoned the child dies. Very shocking. Very shocking how even very noble people can go to such extent to create, to perform such sinful activities which normally one would not imagine. This is the nature of envy. Nature of envy. Envy can go to such an extent that it will justify everything. And even make good people do extremely low class vicious things. This is the nature of it. So the whole situation turned from jubilation instantly into extreme misery. Again, another nature of material existence. The higher you go in your happiness, more you are attached, the more you are swung down equally in the opposite direction when the same things are taken away. Raga, Dvesha, two sides of the material coin. Raga means internal, extreme attachment. Dvesha means extreme repulsion. So this is These are the two sides of duality. Raga Dvesha. So when he was in deep in despair, the king practically unconscious on the ground, Angira Muni along with Narad Muni appear back on the scene. And like what we discussed in the last class, they start speaking to Maharaj Chitraketu, beginning with "Ye kya hal bana rakha hai?" Is this? It doesn't behoove you to do this. So we discussed in the last chapter that how Angira Muni starts giving spiritual instructions to wake up the sleeping Maharaj Chitraketu. Sleeping in what way? Spiritually asleep. We are sleeping on the lap of Maya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Pishachira khole. On Pishachi, the ghost of Maya, on her lap, the living entities are sleeping comfortably, as if that is a wonderful shelter. But actually, they are haunted by the ghost of Maya. Maya means that which is not, where one sees the whole world through the lens of their false ego, through the lens of their own misidentification with their body and extensions of the body, through the lens, the colored lens of their own raga and dvesha. The whole world appears according to the colors of that lens. Reality is reality. But when we have the lens of material attachment and our millions of desires, which are combinations of the three modes, sattva, rajas, tama, when they mix, huh, they produce so many kinds of varieties of material desires and so many things. Correct? Only three modes, but the three combined with three in different ways to make nine, the nine combined with nine to make 81, and then they further combine and combine and combine into unlimited combinations. Correct? Just like sometimes when we go into a restaurant, especially Indian restaurant, and I think this is true for most restaurants. Generally, most items are made up of 4 or 5 ingredients only, especially in India. And I'm talking especially of North Indian restaurants. There's the potato, there's the cauliflower, there is the capsicum, there is the tomato, and then there are some spices. And somehow, through various mixing of the same set of ingredients in various ways, all kinds of vegetable preparations are. That's what people do when, actually, there are only few ingredients, but you go and look at the menu, 200 items in the menu. Wow, Prabhu, this restaurant is so good. And they make everything without onion, garlic. Haribo. All devotees are happy. Got one more place to go and eat. But actually, if you deeply analyze, most of the dishes are essentially different variations of the same 4 or 5 things in different proportions, in different forms. Some are solid, some are minced, some are very finely chopped, some are in a paste form. So it gives slightly different flavors, slightly different experiences, but at the end of the day, it is the same thing, the combination of the same thing. So material existence and and the nature of things and the nature of the experience that the heart gets ultimately is nothing but the combination of these three modes. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Nirdandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshemat. Beyond the three modes. How long you will जीव जागो गोरचंद्र बोले था निद्रा Maya, Jago, Jao, Pishachi Rakhole. Lord Gaur Chandra is saying, wake up, sleeping souls, wake up. How long will you continue sleeping on the lap of the witch of Maya, enjoying this illusory happiness, the same things which are actually nothing but the sources of misery? So Angira Muni gives him a preliminary class, wake him up. This time he is ready because the previous time, even though Angira Muni wanted to give him instructions, he realized that no, he's still attached, still too attached. When the pot of water is kept upside down, no matter how much you try to pour water inside that vessel, all water will just flow from the outside. Nothing will enter in. Why? Because it's upside down. So unless the heart is suitably receptive to spiritual instruction, even though a great personality may be there to give wonderful instruction, the heart will not accept it. It's not, huh? It's not just a matter of a great soul's availability to give transcendental message. It is also about the willingness and the receptivity of the living entity, that message, to that mercy. So this whole situation that was created by the special blessings of the Lord and Angira Muni, Narad Muni, their special blessings. This extremely painful situation. And this is one of the benefits of extreme pain. Nobody likes, everyone wants spiritual life to be very smooth and very nicely. Prabhu, I will go and I will go and my flight will go and I will sit in the plane of Vaikuntha Airlines. And very soon I will reach. Along the way, I will have a nice meal in the plane, have nice conversations. Sometimes we have a very romantic idea about how our spiritual life will progress. And not that that is impossible. It is possible if you are actually entirely pure. But unfortunately, for most of us, we will not actually cross over without a rough ride because our heart will not be properly open to receive the Lord's blessings unless we go through certain situations. That is the sad reality. Of course, there is another class of devotees who are actually fully pure, but their lives are also full of misery. But that's a different story. They don't belong to our class. They're in a different class. Their class is, in very brief words, that whole category is only meant to display to us what is the character of a pure devotee. The Lord serves them as an example, uses them as an example to show to us what it is to be a pure devotee. Also, a very interesting thing the Acharyas explain. This is sometimes the Lord externally shows that the devotee is going through a lot of trouble, even though he's so pure, because the Lord wants to protect the confidential nature of pure devotional service. Confidential nature of pure devotional service. What does that mean? That means that actually pure devotional service is so amazing, so powerful, that Krishna becomes controlled by the love of a living entity who has pure devotion. Pure devotion means when the devotee approaches the Lord, in very simple words, in simple language, when the devotee approaches the Lord not with any desire for himself, but just out of love, affection, to want to serve and please the Lord. That kind of love is very attractive. So many people approach the Lord for mukti, siddhi, but just to serve. Such devotees with very elevated consciousness, they are not even affected by the miseries of earthly existence, even though externally they may seem to be in a very difficult situation, like Maharani Kunti. So many difficulties throughout her life. But she's still saying towards the end of her life, Vipada Santatat Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. Hota darshanam yat syat punarbhava darshan. Let miseries come. So in that way, I will remember you. We need that impetus, unfortunately, that we will not surrender to the Lord unless that impetus of suffering, just like we are talking now about Maharaj Chitraketu, that impetus of being put into a crisis situation, sometimes even by putting us into a manageable difficulties, we don't take shelter enough of the Lord. Then sometimes the Lord needs to push the pedal, turn the heat on. Oh, no, my devotee is his progress has become too slow. He's not taking shelter of me enough. He's getting attached. Put the flame up. And then the heat, then the devotee, helplessly has to cry out, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. So the Lord becomes controlled by pure devotion. The acharyas say that Lord wants to protect the confidential nature of pure devotion, so because He doesn't want unqualified people to come and mess up the environment. So sometimes, even for very great devotees, very good examples is the Pandavas. Such extraordinary devotees with the Lord always next to them. Lord next to them. But in spite of having perfect dharma, perfect devotion, perfect character, many unwanted problems in life. Apparently for no fault of theirs. And not once did the Pandavas, the Lord standing next to them asked the Lord, what is going on? Why, why all these troubles? We have not done anything wrong. We are doing everything wonderfully. We are following your instructions. We are pure devotees to you. The Lord is next to them. The Lord is smiling. The Lord is also not giving them running commentary. Oh, Yudhishthir, now this is going to happen because I want to set this example. I'm going to do this to you. So, sit tight. Huh? Wave is coming. No. The devotees have perfect faith in the arrangements of the Lord. So the Lord puts His very great devotees through such situations for these reasons. One is to set a good example for others as to how a devotee should behave, and the other is to protect the pure nature, the confidential nature of pure devotional service. Because then what happens is people start, those who are not very qualified, those who are still very materialistic, they start thinking, why should I worship Krishna? Why should I become pure devotee? You see the Pandavas, who wants to become like that? You see Bharat, you see Lakshman. Because conditioned attached living entities are always evaluating success and failure based on external parameters. They are deceived by such things. Anyway, that's a whole big topic by itself. The point we are trying to address in the current context of the current pastime is how Chitraketu Maharaj's heart became opened to receive the message when hit by crisis. So none of us want crisis, but unfortunately for us, because we are not always alert to receiving the mercy of the Lord, we are put through such situations of extreme uh, crisis, calamity, where we are shaken up and we really start evaluating our values, our aspirations, the nature of existence, our whole purpose in life very, very deeply. So, after having awakened the spiritual consciousness in Maharaj Chitraketu, Angira Muni gives a preliminary class, Bhagavad class, and we discussed that in the last class, so I'm not going to go there again. Comes, kind of uh, awakened to spiritual consciousness. Then Narada Muni, this chapter starts. Narada Muni, who has amazing mystic powers. Narada Muni is himself a very wonderful example. Such a wonderful example. He suddenly, by his mystic power, made the departed son of Maharaj Chitraketu visible to all the people who had assembled there, to the king and to all the queens and all the royal servants and etc. etc. All the lamenting relatives. So suddenly, the soul, when the soul along with the subtle body leaves the gross body and is hovering around the dead body. Normally we can't see, but somehow by the mystic potency of Narada Muni, he made that departed preta, the departed soul with the subtle body, visible all. And Narada Muni started speaking to that departed soul of the sun. He says, oh living entity, what are you doing? Just see your parents, your father and mother here. There's so much crying because of your passing away. You died at the wrong time, so young. There is so much life ahead of you. You're just few days old now. What is this? This is not good time to die. See your parents are suffering. See your relatives are suffering. See all the friends, everybody gathered here. Have pity on them. Please come back to your body and continue enjoying this royal opulence. The throne is awaiting you. Your father is going to give you all opulences. So when Narad Muni spoke like this, the soul of this child re-entered the body of the child. He re-entered the body of the child and the child became alive. And suddenly, this small child, it's not even mentioned by the time whether he was even in a position to speak. But suddenly this child started speaking. And not childlike baby talk, but transcendental wisdom. And he said, Oh Narad Muni, according to the results of my karma, I am going from one body to another to another. This body also, my tenure was only so much because of my own karma. Sometimes I'm human, sometimes I'm demigod, sometimes I'm born amongst the insects and the fish and the birds, even amongst vegetables. So, what is this father and mother that you're talking about? I do not have any permanent father and mother. You're referring to these two as my permanent father and mother. There is no such thing as permanent father and mother. Because the father and mother idea is linked to the body, and I am nothing to the body. I am transmigrating from body to body to body to body. And various bodies are created by bodies, other bodies of those who are referred to as parents. Actually, I do not have any permanent association with these individuals who, during that brief period of time, that lifetime, people refer to as father and mother. All these relations are impermanent. People come together for some time by the force of time, and again they establish relationship for some time. And go away. No one is permanently related at the bodily level with anybody else. Just like gold, somebody buys gold, is there with somebody, then that person at some point he sells it to somebody, then another person becomes the owner. So the gold is transferring hands. Like in modern times, the notes, currency notes, we have some notes in our wallet. Go and buy, that note goes there, from there it goes to somebody, from there somebody. We have no idea the note in our wallet, how many hands it has changed. So similarly, And at each point, when the note was in somebody's wallet, that person was thinking, oh, this is my note. The note is a note and it's just moving around, having temporary relationships with different wallets and different individuals. The entity is continuously wandering. One should not take this kind of situation seriously. Yes, sometimes because of that circumstances, one becomes so overcome with illusion that one develops a particular affinity. But one should not be fooled. One should be awake to this reality of the temporary nature. Everything is perishable. Body will come into existence, remain for some time, have association with other bodies based on various physical situations. In that situation, he believes this is all in all. I am somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's mother, sister, boss, employee. All relationships are finished as soon as the body is finished. That's why one should never be falsely involved in jubilation and lamentation. There's nothing to get excited about. This is all temporary. And there's nothing to be too sad about also. Temporary. This is not reality. In reality, I am the soul, the living entity, eternal and imperishable. I have neither beginning nor end. Never takes birth, never dies. I am part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And that is why this whole idea of, oh, these people are dear to me, these people are my enemy, I don't like this person, that one. These are all concepts of material conditioning. We are all part and parcels of that Supreme Lord, that one unlimited, infinite, from whom all these living entities are manifest. He is one without a second. And He from whom all these living entities come, we all are qualitatively equal, that Supreme Lord. Yes, that Supreme Lord is never overcome with illusion, but sometimes we as the living entities, we become overcome by illusion. But we must be awake to this knowledge that we have nothing to do with this temporary material manifestation. This, the baby, the son of Chitraketu who had died, went out and Narad Muni asked him to come back into the body. He's speaking, just in case you lost perspective of what is going on. He's speaking this. And everybody is shocked. Huh? So many people are giving class. First, Angira Muni gave class. Now this small child is giving class. And this class was even more effective because the child, the one who is the cause of misery or whose departure is the cause of misery, he himself is speaking and revealing the, Are Baba, why are you crying for? Huh? I was somewhere else. Now I was here for a little while. Now I'm going somewhere else. What's the big fuss about? So to hear this knowledge from the lips of their own child about whom they were crying, that class was very effective. Yeah. So it also matters. The situation matters, the circumstances matter. Who speaks something when also matters. That's why great souls are very intelligent. They know when to speak what, and sometimes through whom to get what spoken. Because the effectiveness and the impact of the words also depends on proper consideration of desha, kala, patra, time, place, circumstances. So everybody is listening. We were just crying. He was dead. The small baby was dead, and now suddenly, by Narad Muni's grace, the child gets up, who is alive. But he's alive. He's not coming and embracing, Mummy, Papa, I'm back. saying, Arey Baba, why are you crying? My time here is over. My karma was there. Is that I am going around and ho gaya, mera kaam ho gaya, I need to go. And that kind of, is massive impact in terms of every word that this child says. So when the child speaks like this, Shukadev Goswami, who's narrating this entire katha, he says that when this Jiva, the child, was in the form of the son of Maharaj Chitraketu, he spoke. And actually, what the interesting thing what happened is the child spoke and then he was alive. Then again he laid down. Again the soul left the body because the soul came back in the body just to speak to them for a little while, give them wisdom. Came and he left. Left where according to his own karma he went to his next destination. So this was like, but this episode of seeing, of demo, real demo, live demo in front of them, to understand that this soul has actually just like zillions of souls, all part and parcels of the Lord, coming together for some time and going away based on their own karma. Everybody was astonished. Maharaj Chitraketu, all the other relatives who were there, they were all astonished. And this experience helped them to cut the shackles of their material affection with that child. And suddenly they became uh, enlightened with respect to the situation. They gave up their lamentation. That's true. All of them, they were able to come out from their grief after these wise words by the departed. So all of them stopped their lamentation. Then all the necessary arrangements for the rituals, funeral rites for the departed son were arranged. They did the proper funeral ceremonies. They offered the body to the fire, to the chitta. They all gave up their illusion, lamentation, fear, which is normally very difficult to give, especially when it comes to a small child. For parents to give up affection to the child, especially when something very unfortunate happens, is very, very difficult. But with this experience, they were able to give up because they could see that actually he's not my child. He's like any other soul. It's like I am a soul who's in this body at this time. This another soul has come into this situation. Queen Kritadyuti and all her co-wives also, the ones who had poisoned this child, he became so ashamed and repentant at what they had done. They all became pale in color and they were lamenting and they were thinking, oh, what is this that we have done? Being attached, uh, and being so envious, we killed this small child. uh. So, after the wise words of Angira Muni and the wise words of this departed son, they also became remorseful. They gave up their desire to have any children. And following the directions of the Purohits, the assembled Brahmanas, they went to the bank of the Yamuna, they bathed and they performed atonement for their sinful activity. Because they realized we have performed sins by doing this poisoning. So they did the atonement. The description is not there of their atonement, exactly what they did. But they did the necessary prayashchittas, get rid of their sins. So everything was done nicely and this whole episode was concluded. At the end of this episode, Maharaj Chitraketu came out as a very enlightened person. He was not just awakened out of or removed out of the misery of having lost a son. Yes, that was achieved. Just like for all other relatives, that was achieved. That was definitely achieved. But what he attained, because he was a very great devotee at heart, is much higher. he became firmly fixed in spiritual knowledge. The Bhagavatam gives the example just like an elephant. Sometimes an elephant is used to taking bath in a muddy water, in a muddy pond. So no matter how much bath he takes, he comes out is covered with mud. So being always associated with the three modes in different forms is always taking bath with muddy water, will always remain muddy. It is said King Chitraketu came out of this reservoir of muddy water. What does that mean? He came out of the dark well of materialistic family life. Family life is not a problem, but materialistic family life, aham mameti, is compared to a dark well where one falls, there's no hope of coming out. Deep dark well. This is a comparison. Andhakupa, very often mentioned in the scriptures. The king himself being suddenly awakened and enlightened to the real duty of the living entity, which is to understand his own position as a transcendental spirit soul, part and parcel of the Lord. First, he performed all his duties. He bathed, he did all the funeral rites to his son, to the forefathers, did the necessary offering to the devatas. And after completing all the rituals properly, with a very sober mind and with a fixed spiritual consciousness, in a very grave manner, his mind and senses properly controlled, he offered his respects at the lotus feet of the two sons of Brahma, Angira Muni and Narad Muni. Seeing all this, both Angira Muni and Narad Muni were very happy. Great souls become happy when they see that their instructions are bearing proper effect. They are great devotees are always willing to give mercy. How do we please them? By receiving with enthusiasm what they have to offer. Great devotees are not so much excited in how much bodily comfort we give them, because their real purpose is to give us transcendental knowledge. When they find a fit recipient who's actively receiving it and transforming themselves, great souls become very happy. So Angira Muni and Narad Muni became very pleased with the way Chitraketu Maharaj transformed himself, not only pulled himself out of that miserable situation, but also turned around his consciousness and started looking at the whole situation differently. It is not that the situation changed. The child had still departed. Child had still died. His entire vision had become changed. The darshan had become changed. First, he was looking at everything as aham and mama, I, me, mine. Now he's seeing everything with the lens of transcendental knowledge. He's seeing things as they are, not through the lens of maya, through the lens of paravidya, transcendental knowledge. Narad Muni is very, very pleased. And Narad Muni becomes very pleased with Maharaj Chitraketu. To further help Maharaj Chitraketu to make spiritual advancement, Narad Muni started giving instructions to Maharaj Chitraketu. Narad Muni actually initiated Maharaj Chitraketu. He gave him a specific mantra and instructed him to chant that mantra. And he explained to him in detail the prayers that he should chant. Very beautiful mantra. I'm just going to recite it. So it's given to him. ओम नमस्तुभ्यं भगवते वासुदेवाय धीमहि प्रद्युम्नाय अनिरुद्धाय नमः संकर्षणाय च नमो विज्ञानमात्राय परमानंदमूर्तये आत्मारामाय शांताय निवृत्त द्वैत दृष्टये. It's a very beautiful prayer. I'll just read the translation as it is. O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is addressed by the Omkar, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. O Lord Vasudev, I meditate on you. O Lord Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarshan, I offer my respectful obeisances. O spiritual potency of the Lord, O supreme bliss, I offer my obeisances unto you, who are self-sufficient and most peaceful. O ultimate truth, one without a second, you are also realized as the Brahman. You are also understood as Paramatma and also as the Supreme Person, Bhagwan. You are the reservoir of all knowledge, one without a second. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. It's a very beautiful prayer. And then various instructions Narad Muni gives. And he describes in summary, in a few shlokas, to Maharaj Chitraketu, the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. How the Lord is actually, we are affected by Maya, the Lord is always transcendent. Of course, he explains this by reciting various prayers to the Supreme Lord, through which, through the glorification of the Supreme Lord, the characteristics of the Lord were revealed. Maharaj Chitraketu. Oh Lord, you are beyond the reach of the mind and words. Conditioned souls cannot approach you. You are beyond both gross and subtle forms. You are even beyond impersonal Brahman, which is already beyond all gross and subtle form. That impersonal Brahman is nothing but your own effulgence. Oh Lord, may you protect us. Everything is coming from you. This whole energy, this whole manifestation is coming from you. You are the basis. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am the source of the impersonal Brahman. This material manifestation is coming from the Lord, from Brahman, from the transcendental platform. Just like pots, Narad Muni says, are made of earth. Correct? On earth, the whole earth is made of earth. From the earth, you can make pots, and that pot you can keep on the earth, the ground. Yeah. And eventually, after use, the pot becomes broken, again it disintegrates, and the same earth from which the pot is made again merges back into the earth. Similarly, O Lord, you as the Supreme Brahman are the source of everything. Temporary manifestations come from you, are there for some time. They are manifestations of you in the form of your energy. Eventually, they are merged back. You are one without a second. You are the Lord. From you comes the Brahman. And this whole material manifestation becomes manifested from you, but you are untouched by the three modes. You cannot even be approached by the mind or the intelligence or the senses or even the pranas of the living entity. Nobody can know you, my Lord, unless you are favored by you, unless we are favored by your grace. The greatest of devotees always want to serve your lotus feet. Your lotus feet are the shelter for all living entities. You are full of all six opulences. That is why great devotees are glorifying you with beautiful prayers like the Purusha Sutta. O most perfect Lord, O master of all mystic powers, I offer my obeisances. Like that. I'm just summarizing, but essentially in these kind of words, Narad Muni instructs Maharaj Chitraketu what is the mantra he should chant, how he should chant, he gives him the rules and regulations. Chitraketu was fully surrendered. The guru gives this kind of a diksha to the disciple when the disciple fully surrenders to the spiritual master. Diksha kale shishya kare atma samarpana. If at the time of initiation the disciple fully surrenders himself to the spiritual master, then at that time Krishna considers that living entity as his own and accepts him. So the key point is how surrendered we are. If we fully surrender to the Guru, Krishna takes full charge. If we partially surrender to the Lord, he takes partial charge. So how effective initiation is also depends on us. It's not just that, oh, I attended initiation, I received a name, I received beads. Initiation is a matter of how deeply we are surrendering and connecting to the Supreme. So after giving them the instruction, giving Chitraketu Maharaj instructions, giving him blessings, Narad Muni as well as Kira Muni departed from that place. Our job is done. We wanted to deliver you. You are such a nice devotee, but you are so attached. We came and we gave you this knowledge. We waited for the right situation. By the grace of the Lord, the situation came. Your heart, even though through miserable situation, became open to receive transcendental knowledge. You accepted it. See, the good thing is only devotees, sincere devotees, when they are put through very trying times, they open their heart more and surrender to the Lord more. This is not a blanket statement for all. There are two things which can happen. There are people of weak faith, even though they may be externally devotees, or people with less faith who are just attached to materialistic things, demigod worshippers, etc. When they are put through lot of misery and lot of trouble, rather than their heart opening and becoming welcome to transcendental wisdom and surrendering to the Lord and intensifying their surrender, their reaction is exactly opposite. Why you did like this to me, God? You are not fair. You are not worthy of my worship. I reject you. So it is not that everybody who is put through suffering necessarily becomes better. Those who are faithful and surrendered and have a true spirit of wanting to advance in Krishna consciousness, when they are burnt in the fire of suffering, their impurities become burnt and they shine forth as gold. Some others may just become like coal and become black and dark. Of course, great devotees know who's ready, who's not, and they know what is the treatment that each person can take. Of course, the Lord also knows. But we can see it is not that when like own experience, we see individuals where uh, not necessarily everyone who goes through a lot of suffering necessarily becomes better. There are two options, there are two possibilities uh, that a devotee may, one may see a devotee, a sadhaka devotee, I'm talking, go through after going through a big calamity. I'm not talking about small, small things. Oh, today in Snan Yatra Prasad, the devotee didn't give me any pakodas. I'm so upset. I'm not talking about these kind of things. I give so much donation, nobody announced my name. Oh, Krishna, you are. I'm not talking about petty, petty things. I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I didn't get enough bonus this year. No, not those kind of things. I'm talking about serious crisis. Such crisis where if, when we hear about the crisis about that other person's life, also we will feel, oh, why that devotee had to go through this. I'm talking about, uh, correct? We should feel like that, right? Hear and see extraordinary situations in the lives of devotees. So there are two possibilities based on how we react to circumstances. I'm talking about sadhaka. Fantastic people, they may have very little faith. Most likely, many of them will give up faith. There is no God. If he was there, I did so much for him, he didn't do anything. I am such a great devotee. Huh? Even after my doing my part, if he did not do his part, I break my relationship with him. Kind of attitude. Interesting people. A sadhaka, if he has the right attitude to such calamities, he will get better. But if he doesn't have the right attitude, he will become bitter. Either one becomes better or one becomes bitter. You understand what is the meaning of bitter? Huh? Do you understand what is the meaning of a person becoming bitter? Krishna shouldn't have done this to me. Devotee shouldn't have done this to me. Playing victim, not taking full responsibility and accepting everything as the Lord's mercy, but becoming bitter and complaining and acting victim. This kind of consciousness stifles our spiritual progress. It's a very strong tendency in conditioned souls to do. We all suffer from varying degrees of this tendency. Varying degrees. But we as sadhakas have to make concerted effort to avoid the temptation of this kind of a victim mentality of trying to find whom to I put blame on. Who is responsible for my suffering? Let me find that person. And ultimately, we are pointing at Krishna. Krishna, you are the controller of all control. Ultimately, you are responsible for my suffering. I don't want to worship you. Or sometimes the devotee may not say that out, but he'll become bitter. He'll become uh, disengaged from devotional service. He'll lose his enthusiasm for devotional service. So, this is, and the Bhagavatam is full of cases where the devotees use the opportunity to transform themselves and come out better. That is what we want to look at examples. Actually, around us to see examples of bitter is not very difficult. Sometimes it is very visible, sometimes it may not be visible outside, but if we look at our own hearts across various situations in our own life, we'll realize how we will become bitter. Bitter with Krishna, bitter with Vaishnavas, bitter with Guru, uh, bitter with the society. These are all nothing but different, the tendency of the jiva to put the blame on somebody else for his own suffering, without realizing that actually everything is perfectly orchestrated by the Lord, exactly based on what that devotee needs, uh, to prop him further come to a higher platform. If we don't take it properly, then we may become bitter rather than becoming better. Must be mindful of this. So I want to stop here. So I want to stop with the initiation ceremony of Maharaj Chitraketu. So the pastime continues. We have barely covered, I think around half the chapter we have covered, roughly, slightly more than half. It's okay. I didn't want to rush through because even in the remaining chapter, even though from a pastime perspective, there's not a lot, uh, but there are a lot of wonderful spiritual instructions, a lot of subtle points. The Bhagavatam is full of so much wisdom. Each of these points we can reflect so much. I like to end with one very interesting thing. I was listening to Gaurang Prabhu's class today morning. He said something very interesting which I wanted to share with you. Of course, many of the things I'm sharing, most of them are all borrowed and heard from great souls, and there's nothing of mine. And that's okay. That's how it is supposed to be. We receive from great souls through parampara. We try to share with others, nourish our own heart, try to inspire each other. So said something very wonderful. What is fear? Very nice. I think this is a formula. He gave a formula for fear. How many of us are fearful in material world? Right? We all are to various degrees. Those who say they are not, I don't believe you. When somebody came to Prabhupada, this also Gaurang Prabhu was mentioning. A devotee came to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, I have no fear. Sadhaka devotee, of course. Paramahamsa comes and says, that's it. Sadhaka. Sometimes we think we are more advanced than we are. So he came to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, I have no fear. Prabhupada asked him, do you cross the road? I don't understand what is the connection. Yes, Prabhupada. So when you cross the road, Do you first look left and then do you look right and then you cross? Ah, yes, Prabhupada. That means you are fearful of death. Huh? That means you're fearful of that. So sometimes we think we are more than what we are. The practical reality is at every moment we can see we are fearful. So anyway, so something else. Prabhupada had this uncanny ability through very obvious, simple things in life to to perceive the truth. Actually, truth is there everywhere. Because our eyes are covered with ignorance, we are not able to perceive the truth. Actually, it is very obvious. That is why all we have to do is to remove the covering from our eyes. Then we can see things as they are. Right now, we are seeing through the lens of Maya. Anyway, so to conclude, he said something very beautiful. He said, "What is the formula for fear?" And he gave one formula. The formula is Krishna's plan uh, minus our plan equal to fear. I'm repeating. Krishna's plan minus our plan is equal to fear. So for next 1 week, you can think about this formula. I'll just give you one hint. It's a very profound formula. Our fear is always because we have our plans. Krishna has his plan. If the plans that unfold in our life as per Krishna's plan don't match with our plans, they deviate from our plans, we become disturbed and fearful. You understand? Correct? The difference between Krishna's plan and our plan. Krishna's plan minus our plan. Correct? So we have a plan. I want to, earn so much money. I want to buy property here. I want to do this. I want everything wonderful. I want a devotee wife. I want devotee children. This. And by this age, I want to do this. And we are all, trying. Even spiritually, we may have our own plan. What to speak of materially? Krishna says, no. You need a bit more churning, and Krishna takes it in a different path. Then we become very upset. What I want, my plan, our mentality is what? What I think is good for my spiritual life. Krishna, can you please sanction? This is my proposal. Please sign here. We have our own project plan of how to become pure devotee. But Krishna says, no, Baba, you don't understand anything. I know what you need. So Krishna has his plan. And most often, our plan and Krishna's plan don't tally very much. Sometimes it may tally. It's okay. Sometimes it may not tally. So if a devotee is not surrendered to the lotus feet, the our resistance, internal resistance to Krishna's plan as it unfolds in our life through various situations is the cause of anxiety and fear. This is a very profound point. Please think about it. This is not shallow. You can understand this. This will lead us to how being surrendered is the path to fearlessness. Because when we are surrendered, we are never in resistance to what is unfolding for us as the divine plan. It is not that we have to stop planning. Even as we are planning and executing our plan, we have to be receptive to the unfolding of the divine plan and accommodate that, and with a grateful heart move ahead, doing our best in every situation. That is what is expected from us. This kind of a surrendered consciousness is true fearlessness. Okay. It's a very profound point. It will take lifetimes for us to understand. Not that even I fully understand it, but at least I intellectually understand it. But this is a very profound point. If you can actually understand and appreciate this point, it will serve us a lot. It's a very, very important understanding on the path of pure devotional service. Because ultimately, we are not after success or failure. Ultimately, we are not about loss or gain. We are not about how much we are glorified or not glorified. Our ultimate consideration of success is service. Service is its own reward. What happens externally in life is just a concomitant factor. If you can understand this point and live according to this point, you can actually achieve great transcendental consciousness. Tattenukampam susumikshmano bhunjaname atmakritam vipakam ridvag vapuvir vidam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayavak. He who can live in such a consciousness that no matter what difficulties and situations come, I just accept that they are just a token reaction to my past karma, and I accept them as Lord's wish. I don't even know why the Lord has done it, and I'm not even seeking an explanation from God. Tell me, you don't explain what I did that I deserved this. Why he is so happy in spite of doing so much nonsense? You gave him this blessing, he's doing so many nonsense, but I am doing so everything so nicely. this is this is not how a devotee tries to evaluate. Who has to go through what is Lord's problem? You don't have to evaluate everybody else. You just have to, on faith of Guru and Krishna, do the best as the situation unfolds for us to deal with it in the best spiritual consciousness with an attitude of service, no matter what happens in my life, oh Lord. Yes, I will try to manage and accommodate my life according to the external situations, but the constancy is I somehow want to continue to serve you by hearing, chanting, worshipping, preaching, whatever nature of service. The nature of service may be multiple. I want to be remain engaged in your loving devotional service, in the association of your devotees. All other things that happen in my life are external. And that was the consciousness of the Pandavas. All things were going wrong, but they were simply happy Krishna is with me and we are able to serve Krishna. That's all. Nothing else really mattered for them. So they fully were accommodating, even though their own plans were different. Their plans were not working out, but they were continuously surrendering to the unfolding of Krishna's plan. And they were never frustrated because they always understood as everything unfolds as Krishna's desire, I have to not resist it, but integrate it into my life and move ahead with the constant factor of continuing to serve Krishna with a grateful heart. So, this is at the very heart of what we are trying to achieve. If we can even understand this as a starting point, not as an end, then at least we will know what is it that we are trying to work towards. Okay. So, thank you very much. I'm opening up the floor. Yeah, Suresh Prabhu. So we just before you go, let me see. So we have up to verses around 30, I think. Yeah, almost 30. Actually, up to 27 only. So we have barely done less than we have done less than half the chapter, but that's okay. We'll complete the chapter in the next class. Yeah, Suresh Prabhu. Yes, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have two questions.
Yeah.
The one which you were explaining, uh, when does Krishna's plan exactly start, Prabhu? I mean, someone has just started. How can we appreciate it's God's plan or it's our own karma? How do we know that, Prabhu?
No, no. Karma is not divorced from God's plan. Why we think karma is different from God's plan? Karma is the framework of the expression of God's will in terms of divine arrangement for action and reaction. So everyone is under the Lord's plan. Everyone is under the Lord's plan, devotee or not devotee.
Okay.
Everyone ultimately is being guided. I'm coming to answering your question. Everyone is coming to the point of being guided. The point is different living entities are ready up to different levels. The moment a living entity becomes keen, he turns his face towards Krishna. He has not yet even started running towards Krishna, going towards Krishna. The moment he turns towards Krishna, means he expresses some interest, then Krishna takes very special interest in him. The Lord's general plan is going on for everybody.
Okay.
But then God puts you into special planning department because now you're looking towards him. So then the Lord, because the whole purpose of existence is to come towards the Lord, once the living entity expresses his desire, develops an interest in the Lord develops interest, the Lord immediately will ask for the file of that person. Even for a new devotee, even for a very, I've asked this question multiple times because even when I started devotional service, I would be so concerned. Is Krishna really interested in me? Is Krishna really taking care of my life? Or am I just in, the hands of my karma? So the consistent answer which I have got, and also I strongly believe is that anybody who is turned his face towards the Lord, no matter how conditioned they have developed even a little faith in the process of devotional service. They may not have achieved much. They come under a very special category of Krishna's favor. So when Krishna takes charge, it's not that he necessarily has to throw away the file, because the whole file of karma is already based on what you need to improve. And what you need to improve doesn't disappear by your becoming a devotee. You understand that? Understand? Correct? Just because you turned your face towards the Lord doesn't mean all your impurities, all the lessons that you have to learn are still there.
Yeah.
Okay? So it doesn't mean, what it means is Krishna takes your file and sees now from the perspective of advancing in spiritual life, what out of all these karmas you still need to go through, and what now this doesn't serve any purpose. Now there's no point putting you through this misery. If you are not a devotee, maybe you may, have to go through this, but, now not needed. So Krishna will revise your plan. You understand? Huh? And that revision is totally what is the extent of revision? It totally depends on what we need to go through to surrender to the Lord. So he may remove some karma, so many usually what the Lord does is he minimizes the misery, which means if you are supposed to undergo huge misery, because the Lord doesn't want his devotees to suffer, he will reduce this misery to a small token. For example, you are supposed to get your hand cut. Somebody will just come and pinch you on your arm. Hard pinch. Oh Krishna, why this happened to me? But we don't know actually your hand was supposed to be cut. But all we got was a pinch. So Krishna will usually give a token reaction. Because Krishna may feel, Arey, why should I cut his hand? He's doing so much service, no need to cancel this. Cancel this karma. You take though. Sometimes, don't always think it is always removing. Sometimes Krishna may put more than what? Hey, this person, because of his good karma, has become so lax in his material life. Hey, Krishna, I need to give him one wake-up slap. Krishna will suddenly do something in your life which will, shake you up. Oh, Krishna, oh, no, no, no. No, this material world is really padam padam yad vipadam. Just I must surrender to you. So we will never know. So our point is, we have to have faith Krishna will do what is best for us. And ultimately, Krishna will take all karma away and throw it. But he will do what is necessary for us to make the best advancement. We should not see karma as some other department and Krishna's mercy as another department.
Yeah. Got
You
it.
get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So devotees, in short, bottom line is devotees get a very special assessment. Uh, and generally, Krishna becomes very lenient towards them with respect to material reactions. That unless the devotee really needs to go through something to improve his spiritual life, Krishna generally is not inclined to punish.
Mhm.
In very simple words. He's already turned his face towards me. Why should I give him more beating than what is necessary? It's the whole point of material existence. The three tapa, the trident of the three tapa is meant to turn the living entity towards. Now he's already turning towards me, so I don't need to keep poking him. I will poke him as much as necessary. Once he again starts turning here and there, then I'll again poke him with something from his account, which has a list of karma. Little bit I'll poke him. Then he'll again come. So Krishna is the best master. Krishna best knows what is good for every living entity. So we will never be able to know exactly why, what. The tendency of the living entity is we want to infer, Krishna, why you did like this. I want to understand. This doesn't happen for small situations, but sometimes as devotees over the years, over the decades, when big episodes happen in our life, sometimes devotees really start wondering. Because in our own intelligence, we think, sometimes in our own intelligence, we think, how is this calamity helping me? I think it is taking me away from Krishna, is not helping me to become Krishna. We are unable to fathom Krishna's wisdom in that situation. When great souls, great devatas, great devotees also sometimes cannot fathom. So that is where transcendental faith, surrender to the will of the Lord, comes into picture. And that is what shows the mettle of a deep devotee, a mature devotee. You understand?
Yeah.
No matter how, in fact, we see the more life tries to crush them, the more sweet they become, the more fragrant they become. Chandanam, punarapi punaram, grishtam punarapi punaras chandanam charugandham. And the chandan, so much friction uh, is rubbed rather than crying, it produces fragrance. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yep.
we have to just keep looking at ourselves and trying to reduce the difference between uh, Krishna's plan and our plan. Of course, Krishna never publishes his plan. Uh, oh, Suraj Prabhu, version 1.0, I'm sending to you by email today. Please look, this is my plan for you. At the next weekend, sorry, I have slightly revised. I think you need this. And then we compare with our plan. It doesn't work. Krishna reveals his plan in real time. And we are going around with our version of the plan. Suddenly something unfolds.
Yeah.
And we have to continuously integrate Krishna's revelation into the path of our life. You understand, right? What I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
Correct? It is, Krishna is not going to come and tell, not even for the greatest of devotees, forget us. Will Krishna's style is like that. Just unfolding. If you are not of the substance that you can accept the unfolding of my will and surrender to it and remain a humble devotee, you meaning Krishna is telling the devotee, I'm not telling you. Then, then we are not quite there to receive the real mercy. Then we are not a fit candidate. This is true. This
Yep.
is true. Okay.
Prabhu,
Yeah,
the
yeah. Oh,
another
you have something else. Okay,
general
okay.
question. General
Yeah.
question, Prabhu. Sometimes
And
uh, we have the habit of, we have the habit of speaking harsh words, or sometimes in the past we might have done harsh actions, and we ask sorry from that person, and that person has forgiven you. Does that karma will still implicate, Prabhu?
if you are not forgiven, the karma will be worse.
Hmm.
If you are forgiven, again, it depends on how much you have repented. Just because somebody says, I forgive you, doesn't mean the karma will disappear
Okay.
entirely. Because sometimes even if the devotee doesn't take offense, Krishna takes offense. If a pure devotee, somebody goes and criticizes a pure devotee, it's happening by my own karma, why should I bother? May all good be with. But Krishna is saying, Arey Baba, what is this person? What is this guy nonsense he's doing? He's criticizing my pure devotee. He's creating disturbance. So, so sincere repentance, uh, seeking forgiveness, and complete forgiveness from the heart by the person whom you have offended. This will eliminate the reaction to the maximum.
Yeah.
All three are important. You understand? Your repentance, that person's forgiveness are both very important factors.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Puja Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Uh, Prabhuji, my question is regarding the Snana Yatra.
Hmm.
Just I had this feeling yesterday when we know that Lord is going to get sick, still we are following that ritual. Uh, what is the
No, that is the Lord's desire. The Lord has manifested that desire to receive service like a sick person. You have to understand that. Lord's sickness is not like our being sick. When we become sick, we are actually suffering because of our own, bad habits, or our own infection, our own karma, whatever. And the Lord falls sick. The Lord falls sick as a part of His leela to receive care. I don't know how many of you. Sometimes, once in a while, especially as a child, not so much nowadays, but maybe even even after growing up, sometimes we like, we are sick, we're just resting. People are taking care of us, giving us medicine, giving us extra attention. Oh, you want this, you want this. Are you comfortable? Putting a, bed cover on us, adjusting the room temperature for us. Extra care. You like it, right? Yeah, nice. No, sometimes you see that is one of the perks of falling sick. I'm not talking about very big illness. Huh? I'm talking about some fever, this, that. Nice, no? I enjoy that part of being sick. Your meal will come right next to you. Don't have to do anything. Don't have to go anywhere. So the Lord being Rasaraj, the Lord being the one who likes to experience all rasas, he also enjoys being treated as a patient by his devotees who take very special care of him, as if, like he's very sick. So this is the Lord's Leela, where he enjoys the bath, then he also enjoys. The Lord also enjoys his sickness. But doesn't suffer his sickness like we suffer. Huh? So in the spiritual world, everything is about enjoyment. Even when the Lord quarrels with his devotees, it is enjoyment. We who are in duality think, hey, what is this? Radharani and Krishna are calling, gopis are chastising Krishna and calling him names. Everything in the transcendental world is an expression of enjoyment. It's transcendental rasa. So this is something which is, we will appreciate more and more as we uh, understand this principle. So this is the system which has been created by the Lord since time immemorial. So we honor it, and the Lord wants to be served like this. And this opportunity, this particular Anavasar period of the Lord's sickness also gives the opportunity. So one of the reasons is the Lord wants to be served by his confidential servitors in isolation during this time. Where this kind of very close, intimate caretaking of the Lord is done by his confidential servants, which includes also painting him, taking care of his body. The deity is nicely painted. Every year, this is also an opportunity for the deity to be nicely painted, and various kinds of things they do. They also heal the wooden form, the Daru Brahman of Jagannath, as a part of this process. Because for 12 years or so, the wooden deity is maintained, and after that, the Lord does Navakalevaram. He changes his form from one form of wood to another form of wood. So the Lord may have multiple purposes. There may be many more purposes which we may not be aware of. The Lord's mind and the Lord's purpose is, very confidential. But this is what we know. Correct? Does it help you understand, Madaji?
Yes, Prabhuji. One more question.
Yeah.
I saw in Mayapur, they have given Gajamukha, Gajakeshav Roop to Krishna,
Hmm.
even Balram. So, what is the story behind this?
So it is said in Jagannath Puri. So that is Hasti Vesh. It is known as Hasti Vesh of Jagannath, where Jagannath and Baldev, they are put a mask of elephant. So that is one of the darshan, one of the shringar of Jagannath. So it is said at one time one devotee of Ganesh came to Jagannath Puri. He was a very staunch devotee of Ganesh, and he came and he didn't like to see anything other than Ganesh. So he was a bit disappointed when he saw the form of Jagannath. So it is said to make him understand that Ganesh and all other devatas are also emanations from him only. The Lord manifested to him a form with, with the face of an elephant to give that particular Brahman an understanding that I am Adi Deva, I am the origin of all the devatas. So you should not uh, think of me as a different. The different devatas are different limbs of my transcendental body. So the Lord gave that particular darshan. So that is celebrated. So that is one story which is mentioned. So Jagannath is a very special deity because Jagannath is approached and worshipped by different groups in different ways. Now this is something very interesting. I don't have so much time to go through that. But Jagannath is a very unique deity, even though we as Vaishnavas see it as a Vaishnava deity. See Jagannath as Krishna. There are some groups who worship Jagannath as Shiva. There are some groups who worship Jagannath as Kali. They think Jagannath is the form of Kali. Some people say no, Jagannath is Buddha. So Jagannath, and there are actual groups who worship like that. And they have a different understanding. So the point is, within Krishna, because Krishna is unlimited, all other conceptions and everything are all part and parcel manifestation. So what Jagannath is showing is that I am the ultimate original Supreme Personality. All other conceptions, all other forms, whether it is the impersonal Brahman, whether it is my own different forms, whether it is the form of Devatas, Aham Adir Hi Devanam. I am the source of all the devatas. Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya sarvamidam maya pratam sutre manigana. There is no truth superior to me. Everything comes from me. Or in other words, if you worship Krishna, the original form, all other forms of divinity are automatically worshipped and satisfied. Correct? Yeah. You don't have to worship Ganesh separately, Durga separately, Shiva separately, Indra separately. If you worship Hari, because if you water the root of the tree, all the devatas become immediately satisfied. यथा तरोर मूल निषेचनेन तृप्यन्त तत्स्कंद भुजोपशाखाः प्राणोपहारच्च यथेन्द्रियाणां तथैव सर्वार्हणम् अच्युत च. Okay, so there are so many such pastimes. Krishna also sometimes has revealed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has revealed himself as Ram, Rari Gupta. He has revealed himself as Shiva to one devotee of Shiva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Shaivite, great devotee of Shiva, came to his house, and suddenly Lord Chaitanya went into the mood of Shiva. He jumped on the shoulders of that Shiva devotee and he started dancing in the mood of Lord Shiva. So because everything is part and parcel of the supreme original truth, they manifest himself in any mood. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya would manifest in the mood of Varaha. He is manifested in the mood of Narsimha. He is manifested in the mood of uh, Ramachandra. Pastimes are there like that. So they should be understood in that light. Okay. Sorry, I gave a long answer. Small question.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Pranam. Okay. So it's already 10:30. So thank you so much for joining the time out. So I'm planning in the not too distant future to go back to our schedule of Saturday, Tuesday. I'll let you know. Hoping to go back to that in a few weeks' time as my schedule eases a bit. I'll let you know. But for now, for the coming week, we will still do the class on next Saturday. Okay. Thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Samaveta Gaur
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
all.
Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you. Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you,
Vinod
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Sridevi
Thank you,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Indulekha
Prabhuji.
Mataji. Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you,
Sarva Lakshmi
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krishna Lata Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Where are you from, Krishna Lata Mataji?
Hyderabad, sir.
Oh, okay, okay. Who
Surat,
introduced you?
Surat's
sir.
elder
Surat Krishna
sister,
sister, sir.
Prabhuji.
Elder sister.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Prabhuji,
Oh.
now the batch has shifted here, right? So she has to attend.
Oh,
That's
okay, okay, okay. Wonderful. Suraj is doing internal expansion of Krishna consciousness within his own family.
I have to
Both
catch hold.
external and internal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Suraj is a very special, empowered soul.
No, no,
Everyone
Prabhu.
who is connected to him is becoming Krishna conscious. Thank you. Welcome, Krishna Lataji. My gratitude to
Thank you,
you
Prabhuji.
for joining. I hope
Thank you, Prabhuji.
our small attempts help you to develop yourself spiritual life. Thank you. So thank you all everyone. Sini Mataji, thank you. Snehaji, Sachi Prema Mataji, Charan Lakshmi Mataji, Anand Sundari Mataji, Shalini ji, Tarun and Puja Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
and
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
my dear Ram.
Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you on Saturday next.